Okay, it is now 1:03 p.m. in the afternoon. We have quite a few people already kicked in. We got 19 people online already, and I know there's going to be a few more coming in. I want to welcome everybody here. Thank you very much for being here. It's nice to see my friends again. Today we are going to talk about Adobe Camera Raw. Wow. Whoever thought we'd be doing a class on this. So let's go ahead and do share screen. And I'm going to go ahead and just do my desktop. It'll be easier that way. That way when I switch in programs, we're okay. And bring up Bridge. And everybody can see Bridge on my computer screen?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep.
Hide the people. I don't see faces anymore, so I won't be seeing the chat or anything like that. So feel free to send a message to Sandra and she'll relay the information. She'll moderate for us. The first image I'm going to talk about is Santa Barbara County Fair number 957. 957, winner, winner, chicken dinner. This is country music, today's country music with Trace Atkins. I got the chance to photograph him at the county fair, and just what a life. I mean, they pay me for doing this kind of stuff. Anyway, what I'm going to do is start off with a couple of things real quick. Going across the top, you have the zoom tool. You have the hand tool. It's the same as in Photoshop. If anybody wants me to explain it to you guys, I'll be happy to, but I won't unless you want me to. You have white balance tool. So if you can find something in here that is white, it'll help you do the white balance. You have the color sampler tool, the targeted adjustment tool, which I think I've used once. So I don't really remember how to use it. You have the crop tool. I don't do a lot of cropping in RAW. I actually do my cropping in Photoshop because it depends on what size I want to do. I may change my mind later on down the road. And then we have the magic straighten tool. That is a lifesaver. So when we get to that one, we're going to show you how to use it. The transform tool, I don't really use that a whole lot in Camera Raw. We have the spot removal tool, which you're going to love. That thing is like saved my bacon a few times. Red eye reduction tool, don't bother using it. It doesn't work so well. Adjustment brush, that one works really good. The graduated filter works really good. The radial filter works really good across the top. And now you have the open preferences dialog box in Camera Raw. So instead of going through Photoshop or Bridge to get to the preferences in RAW, you just click on this box and you can do all the stuff on here as well. Hit cancel, go away, bye-bye, thank you. Rotate images clockwise or counterclockwise and mark for deletion. I don't delete from RAW, I do it from other areas. You can go to full screen mode, and you'll notice that mine is set to full screen right now. When you get Camera Raw, it's probably about something like this where you have to go, oh my God, where do I find everything? Just click on, for Mac, click on the green button up here. For PCs, click on the enlarge to full screen, and you got it made. As you go across the top on the right here, we'll talk about some of these as we're doing them instead of just showing them. And why am I getting a zip file notification? Is that showing up on your screen there too?
Yes. Yes.
Cursors, okay, let's go ahead and hit cancel. And let's bring up Bridge again. Wow. Why are you showing up on me? I don't want you. Let's do this. Quit Bridge. When all else fails, quit the program and restart it. It doesn't take too long to do that. I have patience. Patience. Okay, I'm running out of patience. Open, 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 open. Okay, Trace Atkins, let's open you up again. When I first started going to Photoshop classes way back when, they always said never hit auto for anything because auto never works. Well, I'm here to tell you today that auto works a lot of the time. And one of the cool things is with your exposure sliders, if you hit auto, it's going to adjust the contrast and make your highlights show up better, make your shadows show up better. If you saw when I hit auto, the sky behind Trace Atkins went from white to blue, and the exposure on him stayed pretty much the same. In fact, if I want, what I can do is drop the highlights down just a little bit more and bring out more of that blue sky. You can do the adjustments yourself, or you can let Camera Raw decide, okay, this is where I think you should start at, and then adjust it from there. If I'm going to zoom in on his face, wow. Let me see if I can get rid of scrubby zoom. I don't know how many people use scrubby zoom. I hate it because what I like to do is circle the area that I want to zoom in on versus sliding things around on my screen. So undo scrubby zoom. There we go, much better. And you can see the exposure on his face is still perfect, and it brought up the sky behind him. That makes me a very happy camper. In the upper right-hand corner, while I'm here, you can see the exposure here, 1/5 of a second. I'm sorry, f5.6, wow. 1/800th of a second, ISO 1600. And it also tells you your lens length, which I had a 24-70 on at the time, and it was 48 millimeters where it was. You can change a color, Adobe color up here. You can go to landscape. You can go to portrait mode, standard, vivid. Not a whole lot of change, just a little bit. Adobe standard, Adobe portrait, landscape. Ooh, brightens up the oranges a lot. Adobe color. So either Adobe color or portrait mode, which are both pretty dang close. Color balance, you can do auto all the way down to custom. If you do auto, it tends to warm things a little bit too much sometimes. Yeah, there you go. You can see it jump into the warm really fast. I'll leave it as shot because I checked my color temperature. I always keep it on sunny. I do a custom, I think it's 5660 or something like that on my camera. Like I'll tell you in just a second what my color balance is. Go into white balance, 5560 Kelvin is what I shoot at when I'm doing concerts, or actually when I'm shooting in the studio, I do the same thing. If you want to change your exposure, right here is where you do it. That's common sense, up and down. Everybody knows exposure, so we don't need to talk about that. Contrast, if you want to add contrast, slider goes to the right. If you want less contrast, slider goes to the left. And you can see that it definitely has very low contrast at 100% minus. I like to bump up the contrast just a little bit. Most of the time, I will dial my highlights down. I like my highlights down, shadows up. And then also, let me zoom out here. Same keyboard shortcuts apply for going to full screen. I went Command 0 or Control 0 for PC users. That's 100%. And I'm going to show the whites right here, you can bring them down, raise them up. But if you hit the Alt or Option key, you can see it takes you to black. The whites start to show up at about plus 19. So right now, I have my white set at plus 19. If I want to take it back to 0, I just double click on the little slider right there, and it takes it back to 0. But you can adjust your whites and your blacks the same way. You can go up or down with your blacks. You can see that the blacks start to show up at about minus 12. And it adds
Mike,
just, yes.
was that the Alt key you said you're pressing?
The Alt or Option.
Okay.
Depending on PC or Mac. And I know I have to speak multiple languages for you guys, so I'll try and keep it. If I forget, I apologize. Texture and clarity. You can bump up, add a little bit of texture to it. So at 0 texture, it's okay. But at about 10, the whiskers start showing up a little bit better. Clarity, the same thing. I don't know what the difference is between the two. I think one affects one color, one affects the other color, where one goes towards the blues and one goes towards the reds.
Mike,
yeah.
I was told that if you go to the left on texture, it softens the image. It's a good way to soften faces.
Yeah, they used to call this soften a long time ago.
Uh-huh.
And now they call it texture. So
Yeah, because I was told that that gave you a little bit quick retouch without going retouch.
Right. Also, for him, I don't want a soft face, obviously. Trace has got some years on him, got some years behind him, and I want to show that as we do it. Obviously, for this image, I'm not going to use dehaze. Dehaze is exactly what it says. If you're shooting in a hazy situation, like the mountains in the background are kind of hazy, you can bring that slider over to the right, and it will get rid of the haze on the mountain. You can't make it perfectly clear, but you can make it so it shows up. And down at the bottom, you have vibrance and you have saturation. Vibrance works more with the blue tones and the cool tones. As I slide it more to the right, 100%, you can see the blue up here has popped out even more. Saturation goes more for the warm tones. And I'm going to actually take that down to about a -10. The next box up here, first you have your basic box, then you have the tone curves. I don't really mess with the tones at all. I don't do curves a whole lot, but you can if you want. I'm not a curves kind of person. The next one down is sharpening. It automatically defaults to like 40. I'm going to take it down to about 12 or so. And then masking will help you a little bit. I'm going to hold the Option or Alt key. As you can see, slide the masking over. You can see where it's masking now. It's going to pick up the edges and start to make the sharpening take a little bit better effect. Let go. And I ended up at about 18. Depending on your image, you may end up higher, you may end up lower, it just depends. And then being that I was shooting at 1600 ISO, there is some noise, not a whole lot, but there is some noise in his face. What I can do is drag the noise reduction over to the side just a little bit, probably about 12 or 13. You can see that in this area here, the noise has gone down quite a bit, just that little bit. You can also adjust the color the color noise with your sliders. Works really well. Then you get the circle of death as you click on things. You can also go in and adjust your hue saturation adjustments. I don't mess with the hue too much because it will really screw things up when you do it. Go back to 0 by double clicking on it. Thank you. Saturation, sometimes I will, like in this case, I may want the purples in the background to jump just a little bit more, the magentas. The
Mike?
blues, yes.
Can you isolate an area and just saturate or bring the hue out in that, like those floodlights up there, just play with those without the rest of the picture?
Yes, you can, and I'll get to that when we get to the adjustment brush.
Oh, okay,
I'll
sorry.
show you how to do it with that. And then also you have the luminance sliders. So if I want to bring my blues down, you see it brings the blue sky down a little bit more. Aquas, the lighter color blue, bring that down a little bit. You notice it's not affecting him at all, but it is affecting the sky, which is cool. That's the way I like it. Split toning, I don't mess with split toning, so I don't know very much about it. Lens correction, this is something that's really cool. Remove chromatic aberration. And you go, what's chromatic aberration? It's the little lines. I don't know if there's any here or not, but along the edge of his hat, especially, if you say remove chromatic aberrations, if there were lines like that discoloration of like a green tint going around on a mountain or something, that will get rid of that. And then also in this, you have enable profile corrections. This is wicked cool because I have a wide angle lens going on right now. Click on that and it just adjusts for the wide angle lens to make it more appropriate. You don't always have to use that, but it works really well if you do. You can also do more.
Is there any way you can add lenses to that? Because mine are not in there.
I do not know how to add a lens in there. Most of the Canon, Sony, Nikon lenses are all in there. I don't. What
Yes,
lenses
and
did
I
you
have
don't have?
Panasonics that I've used for a ton of stuff, and I can't do that. I just wondered.
It doesn't pick it
Panasonic is
up,
not
huh?
in there. No.
Huh. I don't know.
Okie dokie.
You can also, if you want to do, have a grid while you.
Excuse me, Michael. Laura, is that a 4/3 camera that you're using?
Yes, it is.
Okay, there are no lens profiles for them because they supposedly do not cause any distortion. So there are no profiles for the mirrorless cameras.
Oh, awesome. Thank you.
See what you get for buying good quality lens? Okay, move on to effects. If you want to add grain, which I took out, you can slide the grain slider to the right and it should add a whole lot of grain, which looks like it did. Undo the grain, it's back to normal. Cool. I don't like doing grain except maybe in black and white or a special effect thing. Calibration, I don't do calibration, so I don't have any clue on that. Presets. You can add your own presets in here. So let's say, let's click on save settings that I've already done. You can pick the ones that you want to do to save. Let's check none. I want to keep chromatic aberration. I want to keep lens profile corrections. Those are the ones I want to keep right now. If I do local adjustments, such as brush adjustments, graded graduated filters. Wow, I'm really having a good time. Or radio filters, you can do that as well. I'm just going to do custom subset. Got those. I want my exposure. You know what? I don't want my exposure. I want to keep it all simple. So what I'll do is just keep it like that, save it. So every time I come in, just go to my presets, save, boom. Every time I go to my presets, I got my Santa Barbara County Fair preset. I just click on that. It automatically does the chromatic aberration. It automatically does the other thing that I did with it as well, which I can't remember right now. Also, you can do apply auto tone adjustments, which is cool. So I'll click on that, check none, click it back on again. So it automatically will do white balance and everything for you. I'm going to say chromatic aberration, lens profile, sharpening, noise reduction. I don't want grain. Transformation I'm not doing. If I do auto settings for auto tone adjustments, it does all of the white balance, exposure, contrast automatically, so I don't have to do that. So I'm going to name this auto all. Click OK. I'm going to go back to my home setting. I'm going to hit the Option or Alt button, and at the bottom where it says Cancel, when I hit Option or Alt, it says Reset. I'm going to reset everything back to normal. I'm going to go to my presets, click on Auto All. Double click on it, make sure it worked. Come on. And it did everything except I didn't click on hue and saturation, which is one of the things that I brought down before. So you can do presets for everything that you want to do. You can also bring in multiple files on your film strip on the left-hand side. Click on Select All, and then Sync Settings, just like you do in Lightroom. And you can do all the images at one time as well. So let's click out of him. Done. Bye-bye. Go back to Bridge. Double click on the rodeo picture.
I'm not sure. Ellen wanted to know about checking on calibration and process vision. So I'm not too sure what you want.
Okay. Or calibration. Calibration. I know very little about calibration. So for me to try to explain it, in fact, I
Mike?
know. Yes.
When you were checking what your, I don't know if you called it a preset or whatever.
Preset.
Yeah, when you were checking that off, there were two spots that was process calibration and, or check calibration and process version. So I know in Lightroom, those are two things that you check off so that you have the current version of what that you're working on.
I think the current version is always default. It's default. It'll default to the current version.
Okay.
So you shouldn't have to worry about that.
Okay.
If I did version 1, you'll get a little sign down here at the bottom right-hand corner that says update to current version. Okay. Click on current version. Boom. Back to normal.
Okay.
Mike, you said you don't use that little right next to the straighten tool, that's tool there. That's fun to use. Have you played with it?
I have not. Actually, I have, with a super wide angle lens, I've gone in and adjusted my buildings so that they adjusted properly. I haven't played with it a lot to be able to talk about how to make it work properly.
You
The
make
next time we talk, I will be able to talk about that.
Okay.
I'll play with it and make sure we know what they're doing.
Oh, one other thing. When you save in the bottom, do you save the full file, or do you make it smaller or larger, or what do you put in there?
I save full screen, full size. Are you talking about
Over here, right in this, yeah, there.
right there?
Yeah, when you click
Okay.
on that.
We'll talk about that when we open this picture up.
Okay.
Okay. Here's a rodeo or rodeo, depending on where you're from. I'm going to go to my presets, auto all, and wait for it. On the desktop, it works so much faster. And this is what it, okay, it's still kicking in. Wow, that's slow, slow, slow. One of the things that I would want to do is these signs are really bright. So I'm going to take the highlights, bring them down a little bit. I'm also going to bring my whites down. So I'm going to hold the Option or Alt key. And just till I get that one little blue clipping light in there, and that brings them down. You can cycle between before and afters on here. And you can see the left side is before and the right side is after. The left side looks better. Okay, so we're gonna have to adjust this. The auto didn't do perfect, but it didn't do bad. I'm gonna bring the texture and clarity up a little bit. No need to dehaze, but we'll see what it does. Just darkens things down just a little bit. Vibrance is plus 17. That was what Adobe Camera Raw selected for me. Yeah, I can live with that. Sharpening is at 12 because that's what we told it to do before in the preset. Hue saturation, I'm going to bring the blue just a slight bit up, about 16. And then luminance, I'm going to bring the blue down, which should bring my sky down. And it's funny, it's showing up in the preview up here in the left in the film strip.
It looks like you still have your split on with before and after, and the before is in the sky.
Duh. Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh.
When all else fails, have somebody explain it to you. I'm glad somebody's paying attention. We got the remove chromatic aberration and enable profiles. And let's go ahead and do a couple of things really quick. Number one, you can see that his helmet is extremely dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my adjustment brush, click on that, reset my adjustment, and you can see the brush right now. The softness is extremely soft. So if I hit my feather, which is 100%, bring it down to about 30% or so, you see there's less play around the side of the brush. What I want to do is bring that back up. I'm going to paint his helmet right here and then bring the exposure up a little bit. and bring my shadows up just a little bit. And then the vest where it's really dark, I'm going to paint there as well. And it takes a while to kick in on this slow laptop. I might have to buy a new laptop because of you guys. My wife is not going to be happy. Reminds me of being up on dial-up internet again.
Oh, gosh, that was a long time ago.
Actually, it was last week for me. We're in the middle of nowhere. Hey, that was funny, okay? Come on. If you want to add some saturation to like these red stars right here. Okay, come on. You can go faster than this. And you, before I get to the stars, you can see that I made a little mistake and it went over the edge right here. You can hit the Option or Alt key and paint it back. It's like kind of like masking. It's erasing it out. There we go. Wait for it. Wait for it. Option. A little smaller brush, I can get right up to the edge. There we go. I'm a happy camper now. Okay, let's say I want to do a different area with a different technique. All I have to do is go to the right-hand side up here where it says adjustment brush, and there's the next one down says create a new adjustment. Okay, click on that. We'll do a new adjustment, and I'm going to do right on his stars and his chaps right here. A little bit of paint there. I'm going to add a little bit of saturation. And again, I painted outside the lines, but that's okay. I just go in and unpaint it, and hopefully this thing will catch up in time before we have to open it. So there's a question about wanting to go in and do the lights on the stage. This is how you would do that. You can go in, you can even add color. So if I wanted to add, let's say red, let's go with new. And that's a perfect red color. Thank you. Interesting. I'm going to hit the Oops key, which is Command or Control Z. Get rid of that. You can crop in Camera Raw, but I always like to make my decisions in Photoshop when I do that. So I'm going to go ahead and open this guy up in Photoshop, click Open Image on the bottom right-hand side, and I just opened it too fast. Scratch discs are full. No, they're not. That's why it's running slow. I need to go into my preferences in Photoshop. Cancel, preferences, and scratch this. Change from, whoa. Scratch this not even close to full. I don't know why it's saying that. On the bottom down here, where it says Adobe RGB 1998 8-bit, blah, 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 you can choose by clicking on that line there if you want to open in any format. I'm going to stay with RGB 1998. You can open in 16-bit. You can open on the bottom left. It says open as a smart object. I'm not going to do that because it eats up memory. And you can see I'm having memory problems already. So I'm going to stay at 8 bits per channel. Opens up resolution at 300 pixels per inch. You can tell it how big a file you want it to open as well. So let's click OK. And it's going to open this time. Correct? No. Bridge decided, or Photoshop decided it don't want to play at all right now. Why is it only does this when doing a program?
Because it knows.
It knows, exactly. You know, I sit here, I run through it on my machine before we do this. Everything's just fine.
It's
Remember
Zoom.
slide projectors.
Is it possibly your RAM? Because I used to have on my other computer, I used to have insufficient RAM, and I would get that scratch disk issue when I had too many files open. And with running Zoom, you're using your RAM.
Yeah. Well, it should be,
I don't know.
it should be able to scratch disk off of my backup hard drive that I'm using.
Yeah, but it's not about your storage space. It's about your RAM.
Yeah, but the scratch disk is about storage space also, along with RAM.
I just blame it on Zoom.
Yeah, that's part of the problem.
That's why we call it artificial intelligence.
And now a word from our sponsor. Thank you, Miller's Professional Imaging, for sponsoring this program.
We should have Jeopardy music in the background.
You can see how slow it's opening right now.
It's always slower when you're on Zoom too, I think, and it depends on how many people are in.
I don't think it has anything to do with Zoom, because I've been on some with 600 people today and it's fast as ever.
Okay, then never mind.
Yeah.
We'll blame it on Mikey's laptop. He just needs to get a new one.
Thank you. I
Oh,
love that.
My son is just has his computer science degree. So if anybody really wants answers to these questions, I can give you his number.
Well, there's your answer though, Michael. You said your wife wouldn't want you to buy a new computer, but the word has come from above.
Exactly.
You must get a new computer. There you
You
go.
guys must all tell her that I need a new computer.
Well, just blame it on us. We don't know her. She doesn't know us.
That's right.
Now, she knows a few of you guys.
Not my job.
Use the others.
At least by name, anyway.
Okay, you can see that that opened up nice and perfect now. Now I don't want to play with it anymore. Go away. And let's see what else we got to play with. Oh, yes. So let's go ahead and go to my preset that I made. Auto all.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah. That came out pretty cool. See the difference between before and after?
Yeah,
And we
nice.
haven't even started yet. So let's add a little bit of color balance temperature. I'm going to bump it up into the warm a little bit more.
We have a question about, is it okay to do that processing in Camera Raw if you're entering a picture in a photojournalism print competition?
You can do some adjustments in Camera Raw in photojournalism. You can do spotting. You can do basically dodge and burning in there as well. So yeah, you can do some Camera Raw adjustments. You can't get super wacko crazy with it. Otherwise, it's no longer photojournalism.
Would this amount be considered super wacko crazy?
I don't know. I don't think it would be super wacko crazy, but it probably depends on the judges.
It probably is enough to get you DQ'd.
At this point, I think I'm going, well, yeah, for photojournalism, yeah.
I thought you could do basically whatever you could do in a dark room. And in a dark room, you can lighten or darken the exposure, which may change the effect like you've got there. I think, that seems like it would be okay.
Yeah, that's one of the most misunderstood areas of print competition. So the answer is, I don't know. Okay, so you can see the difference that it made, just the quick adjustments right there. Personally, I don't think that's enough. There we go. To make a huge difference. The bottom right down here, I think, is a little bit bright. So I'm going to do the adjustment brush, but you can also do a graduated filter and radio filter. So if I took the graduated filter and drag it up like this, take my exposure down a little bit. Oh, I know why it's bringing in red.
Huh.
Oh.
And I don't want a color. Let's go white, see what happens. There we go. So we're going to Command Z that puppy. Go away color, no color, thank you very much. Exposure down, about 95. Bring the temperature up. We're warming that color. Well, the shadows were all the way up too. Sometimes you got to worry about all these different things up here. What you can do is go on the drop-down menu up here, reset local corrections, and it resets the entire line of stuff down there. So if I want to warm it, drop the exposure. You can do it that way. You can also go in with your adjustment brush. I'm going to reset everything again. Bring my sliders in and do the same thing again. I want to paint on the left-hand side to warm things up. And wow, did that make a heck of a difference. But the cool thing is you can see your adjustment. So if it's 100, like 4 stops down, it goes black. If it's 4 stops to the right, it goes burned out. So you can just drop it down like a quarter of a stop just to add a little warmth there. I can do this area right here. If I want to lighten the roadway here, I just go in and paint the roadway area. Bump up the exposure a little bit, which is a little too much. And just play with it. It's almost like having adjustable filters on the whole time. I can sharpen the leaves on the ground by taking my texture slider all the way over to the right. Clarity, same thing. Or I can soften it down so you lose the background back there. You can just paint that in. You can also, not in this particular case, but you can also auto mask, which will slow your computer down a whole lot while you're doing it. And you can see I'm getting the spinning wheel of death right now. Like I said, it will slow down your computer a whole lot, but you can mask off. So if you're doing a mountain versus a skyline, you can have it say, okay, here's the edge, and I'm going to go ahead and move up to the edge, but not past the edge. So the auto mask will do that for you. Also in the bottom right-hand corner, you have clear all, so you don't have to go up to the drop-down menu. So clear all is down in the bottom right-hand corner. And then you'll see up in the upper part of the trees, there's a little bit of sky showing through. If you don't want the sky, what you can do is go to the spot removal brush, select around this area, and wait for the computer to catch up. Anybody want to buy a used computer? Probably if I rebooted and started the whole machine all over with, it'd be a lot faster, but. Okay, who did that? Who did that? Okay, that's how the spot healing brush works. I'm not even going to mess with it anymore. I'm going to cancel out, maybe. While I'm waiting for it to do something. Okay. Cool.
I think we could all pitch in for your new laptop to thank you for doing these discussions.
I would love for you to pitch in for a new laptop. I'm going to show, let's bring up this image. I'm going to show you the dehaze function real quick, but before I do, I'm going to reset everything on this image. Can you see it's all adjusted on the right-hand side here? Instead of going to auto, I'm just going to hit default, which will take me back to Zippo. That's the original exposure. That's after I played with it a little bit. So let's go ahead and just run dehaze just for fun without doing anything else. And can you see how it cuts through the smoke there? That's the dehaze function. The shadows will go really, really dark on you, and you can see the colors down at the bottom edge turning really dark brown. From here just to there is way cool. But you can also bring your highlights down, bring your contrast up, texture, clarity. And I'm going to try the spot healing brush on this cone right here. That would automatically take it out of photojournalism because you removed it up image, something from the image. And that didn't work as good as it does in Photoshop. Yeah, I don't like the way that worked. So I'm not going to use that one. But you can see the dehaze filter, how it worked on there. Works great on mountains and things like that, cutting through the fog. Let's go to (2019) Photoshop class and to
George's suggestion, if you change the working size, it might be easier.
yeah, it would be, but I'm not fast enough to do that.
Since you love it so much, can you show us the straightening brush or the straightening tool?
I will shortly. Give me one second. I wanted to show one more thing. I wanted to show the spot removal, how it really does work. No, no, and no, no. Trying to remember where dust spots. Duh, it's under dust spots. Here is an entry into print comp recently. I'll wait for it to open. Open, open, open. And as you can see, it had a few dust spots on them. Bring the exposure up so you can really see it. Can you see the spots on there? Really well? Yes? No? Maybe?
You know, Michael, they make tools for cleaning your cameras.
You want to know something?
Plus I see the spots.
This was a brand new camera, about a week old. When I went out there, there was one dust spot on there. I did not change lenses. And this is what you see after about 30 minutes of use. When I took it in for cleaning, they said this is absolutely the worst camera they have ever seen. Yes, I am the best at this. Okay, I'm going to go to the spot healing brush or spot removal brush at the top, right next to the eyeball and the transform tool. Click on that, and you see nothing happened yet. Down on the bottom right-hand corner, it says visualize spots. Click on that. There are your spots. And all you have to do is go tap, 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 and your very fast computer will not do this.
Should I play the music again?
Do, 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 do.
I'm not going to do all of them, but you see that it's taken a few of those out. Click on the visualize spots down the right-hand corner. Boom, got it made.
Okay, that was worth the price of admission today.
Yay, I finally did something right today.
Is that same visualize option available in Lightroom, since that's sort of the same tool you're using when you're in
Yes, it
Lightroom?
is.
Yes.
Yes, it is. And then
You just have to
also,
know to look for it.
yes.
That was awesome. I have a new camera that has tons of spots too. So yes.
Take it in, get it
Thank you.
cleaned. It's well worth it.
Yeah.
Hey, is there anywhere local that you can get those cleaned? The
My
central
camera
clean?
store shut down that I got it cleaned at, so I use Sammy's all the time.
Yeah.
Also, if you go to the camera raw filter in Photoshop, once you open the file and say, oh, wow, look at that. You can also go into your spot removal, visualize spots, and do the same thing. So you can do that in camera raw filter as well. Okay, close that, don't save. Let's find, what do we got in Denver? No. Open up Kitty Cat. Also, you can open up images in Camera Raw. If it's a JPEG image, you can hit Command or Control R from Bridge. Okay, why did that go to liquify? I don't want liquify.
I haven't seen a picture of Joe sober in a long time.
Okay, where did I? Okay, here's a JPEG image. If I hit Command or Control R, it should open up in Camera Raw, which it did. I go to my Straighten tool, click on that, drag it across the horizon, and you can see it tweaked it just a little bit. So if I hit Enter, it's now a straight line, I hope. So open image, open image. Thank you. If I go to the crop tool in Photoshop, you'll see they have the straighten tool there as well. You just click on that, drag it across, and you should have a very straight horizontal line going across there. So I'll turn on my rulers, slide down a little mark there for you guys to see, and it did a fairly decent job. Wow, things are just not playing with me today. Again, had that problem last week too.
You know, Apple has that new 16-inch MacBook Pro available.
Well, I've got a nice desktop that I'm playing with, the Mac Pro. Problem is, I don't have a microphone on it, so I can't do these programs on it. I wish I could, because it's got all the RAM in the world and everything.
Why don't you add a microphone?
Yeah, that'd be cheaper than a new laptop.
Thank you. I didn't want to ask that same question.
Because there's no place to add a microphone to it.
Really?
I think they've done it in the next version. Yeah, when they built this one, they decided not to put a microphone in it. So where I can plug the microphone into my laptop, I can't do it on my desktop.
You should be able to get a USB microphone, I would think, or a converter for it.
But I'm not smart enough to do stuff like that.
Call my friends at LA Computer.
Yeah, because you have to plug it in.
Or Bluetooth, maybe.
I actually ordered a Bluetooth microphone and headset, and it wouldn't work on my computer.
You know, Michael, I'm using my Apple AirPod Pros. That's what I'm talking on now and listening on with my big Mac Pro. It's awesome.
Okay. My computer has decided it don't want to play right now. It even shut down Bridge on me.
It knows we've been talking bad about it.
Yes, and we've been on for an hour, so that's a good thing. Does anybody have any questions real quick? That was a very quick cursory intro into Bridge. Any questions?
I just want to say thank you. And I've taken several of your sessions. They've all been very helpful. And so I am writing you a check just to thank you for doing these. And if you want to put it towards a laptop, I'm going to send it to you today. And if anybody else feels like doing that, to thank Mikey, I think would be a nice idea. Thank you very much.
Well, I
Mike.
do appreciate that.
Thank you,
you don't have to do that.
Right.
No, I know you've been so generous with your time, but I wanted to do that.